kind of silence that follows shame, not the hot, immediate flush of embarrassment that passes quickly enough. I'm talking about the deeper quiet, the one that settles into your bones years later when you finally understand what you did. I'm sitting by the window now, watching the rain trace its slow paths down the glass. The coffee in my hands has gone cold, but I don't mind. There's something peaceful about this hour, the gray light, the soft drum of water on the roof, the way the world seems to pause and breathe. I'm 73 years old. I've built companies, lost fortunes, made them back again. I've stood in boardrooms where a single decision moved millions. I've had my name in newspapers, my face on magazine covers. But the moment that changed me most happened in a hallway at 6 in the morning with a woman whose name I didn't bother to learn. I need to tell you who I was then, not who I thought I was. That's a different story, one polished smooth by ego and repetition. I mean, who I actually was underneath the tailored suits in the corner office and the careful reputation. I was 44 years old, successful by every measure that mattered to the world I lived in. My company had just gone public. The numbers were extraordinary. People used words like visionary and genius when they talked about me, and I'd heard them so often I'd started to believe them. That's the danger, isn't it? When the world tells you you're exceptional long enough, you start to think it's true. You start to think it means something about your worth as a human being. I worked in a glass tower in Manhattan, 42nd floor. I'd arrive before dawn most mornings, not because I had to, but because I liked the quiet, liked having the building to myself, liked the feeling of being first, of being ahead. The cleaning crews were usually finishing up when I arrived. They moved through the halls like ghosts, silent, invisible, efficient. I barely noticed them. They were part of the machinery of the building, no different from the elevators or the air conditioning. That's what I told myself anyway, that I didn't see them because I was focused on more important things. The truth is uglier. I didn't see them because I didn't think they mattered. Her name was Elena. I know that now. I've said it to myself 1,000 times since, trying to give weight to what I took from her that morning. Elena, she was from Romania, I would later learn. She'd been a teacher there, literature and history, for 23 years. She'd taught Dostoevsky to teenagers who rolled their eyes, and Shakespeare to students who didn't know yet that the words would stay with them forever. When she came to America, none of that mattered. Her degrees weren't recognized, her experience didn't translate. She was 56 years old, starting over in a country where her accent marked her as less than before she even opened her mouth. So she cleaned offices. 42nd floor, Monday through Friday, from midnight until 6 in the morning. She'd take the subway home as the sun came up, sleep until early afternoon, then spend her evenings tutoring neighborhood children in English and math. She charged almost nothing. Some families paid her in food instead of money, and she never complained. I didn't know any of this the morning I laughed at her. All I knew was that she was in my way. It was a Tuesday. I remember because Tuesdays were my early days, when I'd come in at 5:30 to review the Asian markets before the analysts arrived. The elevator opened onto the 42nd floor, and there she was, Elena pushing a cleaning cart down the hallway. She was moving slowly, carefully, the way people do when their bodies have been working all night. I was impatient. I was always impatient then. Time was money, and money was everything, and this woman was blocking the path to my office. "Excuse me," I said, clipped, curt. She looked up, startled. Her face was tired but kind, the kind of face that had smiled at children, that had listened to their troubles, that had believed in their futures even when they didn't believe in themselves. I didn't see any of that. I saw an obstacle. "Oh," she said, her accent thick, her English halting. "I am sorry, sir. I move. One moment, please. The cart, it is..." She struggled with the words, her hands gesturing at a wheel that had gotten stuck on the carpet edge. I sighed, loudly, made a show of checking my watch. "I move fast," she said, flustered now. "Please. Sorry. My English, it is not so good." And that's when I laughed, not a kind laugh, not a sympathetic chuckle, a sharp, dismissive sound that came from somewhere small and ugly inside me. "Clearly," I said, "maybe you should work somewhere that doesn't require communication." The words hung in the air between us. She went still. I remember feeling a flicker of satisfaction, the petty triumph of putting someone in their place, of reminding the world, and myself, that I was important and she was not. Then she looked at me. I've thought about that look for 30 years now. I've turned it over in my mind like a stone, worn smooth by handling. Her eyes didn't show anger. That's what I expected, the defensive flare of someone who'd been insulted. That would have been easier to dismiss. Instead, there was something worse, something that cut right through every wall I'd built around myself. Sadness, deep and patient and knowing. She looked at me the way you might look at a child who's broken something precious and doesn't understand what they've done. "Sir," she said quietly. Her voice was steady now. The halting quality had vanished, replaced by something measured and deliberate. "I speak 4 languages: Romanian, French, German, and English. Though I apologize that my English is not yet as polished as I would like." I blinked. The satisfaction drained out of me, replaced by something cold. She wasn't finished. For 23 years, I taught young people to love literature: Tolstoy, Hugo, Goethe. I taught them that words have power, to build, to heal, to wound. She paused, and her eyes held mine. "I have learned, sir, that the cruelest words often come from those who have forgotten what it is to struggle, or perhaps from those who have never known." The hallway was silent. The hum of the building's ventilation seemed very loud. "I clean your office because I must," she continued, "because life has brought me here, to this work, in this country. But I do not apologize for my accent. My accent is the sound of courage. It is the sound of someone who left everything she knew to build a new life. It is the sound of survival." She freed the cartwheel with a gentle push. "I hope," she said softly, "that one day you will hear something worth saying, in any language, and that you will have the grace to listen." Then she walked past me, pushing her cart, and disappeared around the corner. I stood there for a long time. The market reports waited on my desk. The emails were piling up. The machinery of my life hummed all around me, demanding attention. But I couldn't move. Something had cracked open inside me, not broken, cracked, like a window letting in cold air for the first time. I walked to my office, sat down in my expensive chair, stared at the city spread out below me, the million lights, the million lives, and felt, perhaps for the first time, very small. It would be a nice story if I told you I changed immediately. If I said I tracked Elena down that same morning, apologized with tears in my eyes, and became a different man before lunch. But healing doesn't work that way. Change doesn't come in lightning strikes. It comes in slow accumulation, like sediment building at the bottom of a river, one grain at a time. What happened was quieter, harder to name. I started noticing the cleaning crews, not as obstacles or machinery, but as people. I'd catch myself watching them work, the care they took, the efficiency of their movements, the quiet pride in a job done well. I started wondering about their lives, their stories, the roads that had brought them to this building, this floor, this work. I didn't say anything at first, didn't know what to say. The shame was still too fresh, too raw. But I noticed, and noticing was the beginning. 2 weeks later, I saw Elena again. She was in the break room, wiping down the counters. It was earlier than usual. I'd come in before 5, unable to sleep, my mind still circling that morning in the hallway. She saw me and went still, wary. I couldn't blame her. "I owe you an apology," I said. The words felt clumsy in my mouth. I wasn't used to apologizing, wasn't used to admitting I'd been wrong. My whole life had been built on the certainty that I was right, that my success proved my worth, that my position justified my behavior. Elena waited. "What I said to you," I continued, "was cruel and ignorant and small." I took a breath. "You were right about all of it. I forgot what it means to struggle. Or maybe I never knew. Either way, I'm sorry." She studied me for a long moment, that same steady gaze, seeing past the surface to whatever lay beneath. Then slowly, she nodded. "Thank you," she said. "That takes courage. To admit we are wrong." "It doesn't feel like courage," I said. "It feels like the least I could do." A small smile crossed her face. That is often what courage feels like. Over the months that followed, Elena and I developed an unlikely ritual. I'd come in early, earlier than I needed to, and find her in the break room or the hallway. We'd talk, short conversations at first, just a few minutes. But they grew longer as the weeks passed. She told me about Romania, about the town where she'd grown up, about the way the mountains looked in winter. She told me about her students, the ones who'd challenged her, the ones who'd surprised her, the ones who'd written letters years later to thank her. She told me about coming to America, the hope and terror of it, the bureaucracy that dismissed her credentials. The first night she'd cleaned an office building, aching and exhausted, wondering if she'd made a terrible mistake. But then, she said, I would see the sun rise over this city, all that light on the water, and I would think, I am still here, I am still standing. That is something. I started telling her things too, about my own life, not the polished version, but the real one. The father who'd never thought I was good enough. The marriage that had ended because I was never home. The loneliness that lived at the center of all my success, hollow and aching. She listened without judgment, offered no advice unless I asked for it, just listened. The way a good teacher listens, with her whole attention. It was the first time in decades I'd felt genuinely heard. The changes I made after that weren't dramatic enough to make headlines. I started a program at the company, English classes for any employee who wanted them, held during work hours, fully paid. We offered tuition assistance, childcare support, pathways to advancement that didn't depend on which school you'd attended or how polished your accent was. I started leaving the office at reasonable hours, started calling my grown children, the ones I'd barely known, too busy building my empire, started learning to ask questions instead of giving orders. None of it erased what I'd said that morning. None of it made me a hero, but it was something, a beginning, a direction. Elena retired 3 years after our first conversation. Her arthritis had gotten worse, and the night shifts were too hard on her body. I tried to give her money, a retirement fund, a thank you for everything she'd taught me. She refused, gently, firmly, completely. "You have given me something more valuable," she said. "You have listened. You have changed. That is the gift." She moved to New Jersey to live with her daughter. We wrote letters for a while. She preferred handwritten notes to email, said there was something sacred about ink on paper. I still have them all, bundled in a drawer in my desk. Her handwriting was beautiful, precise, and elegant. The handwriting of someone who had spent decades teaching others to put words on a page. She passed away 8 years ago. Her daughter called to tell me. I sat in my office, different company now, different building, but somehow the same gray light, and cried for the first time in decades. I think about legacy a lot these days. What we leave behind, what endures. I built companies that employed thousands, created products that changed industries, made and spent more money than any person reasonably needs. But when I imagine what might matter, what might still be echoing somewhere in the world after I'm gone, it's not any of that. It's the English classes, the tuition programs, the small kindnesses that might have helped someone feel seen. It's the letters I wrote to my children, finally saying the things I should have said years earlier. It's the story I tell sometimes when young executives ask me for advice. The story of a morning in a hallway, and a woman who had every right to walk away, but chose instead to teach me something. The cruelest words often come from those who have forgotten what it is to struggle. I've never forgotten that. I've tried to make sure I never will. The rain has stopped now. The coffee is definitely cold. I should have gotten up to reheat it an hour ago. But I'm comfortable here, in this chair by the window, watching the clouds break apart and the first hints of sun push through. I'm 73 years old. I've made more mistakes than I can count. Said things I can't take back, hurt people who didn't deserve it. But I've also learned, slowly, imperfectly, one day at a time. I've learned that dignity isn't something you earn with success. It's something every person carries with them, no matter what work they do, what language they speak, what country they come from. I've learned that the measure of a life isn't found in headlines or bank accounts. It's found in the small moments, the conversations, the kindnesses, the times we chose to see each other clearly. I've learned that an accent is just the sound of courage, the sound of someone who crossed an ocean, left everything familiar, and kept going anyway. If Elena could see me now, this old man by the window, thinking about a morning 30 years gone, I wonder what she'd say. Maybe she'd smile that quiet smile. Maybe she'd nod and say nothing at all. Or maybe she'd say what she said to me once, near the end, when I thanked her for changing my life. "You changed your own life," she told me. I only held up a mirror. The sun is fully out now. The city is waking up. Somewhere out there, in office buildings and hospitals and schools, people are starting their days. Cleaning crews are finishing their shifts, heading home to rest before they do it all again. I hope someone sees them today, really sees them. I hope someone takes a moment to say good morning, to ask a name, to listen. Because you never know which stranger might be carrying wisdom you desperately need, which quiet voice might say the words that crack you open, which encounter might change everything. There's a kind of peace that comes from understanding what truly matters. It took me too long to find it, but I'm grateful, more grateful than I can say, that I found it at all. The fire's gone low now, the day is waiting, but I think I'll stay a little longer, just to hold this feeling, this quiet gratitude, before I rise to meet whatever comes next. Some lessons I've found are worth sitting with. Some voices are worth hearing again and again.